Hello, everyone. Sorry if I sound a little tired. I am just the slightest bit tired right now. But I'm just pulling up a few things that I want to work on during stream today. I have 2 stories that I want to continue writing. Hold on. To make this to my formatting prologue. I also want to add it to my we're going to do what did I put this one under? Heading 1, and it's on Georgia. Georgia. Okay. We're just doing a really laid back stream today. I don't know if I'll be talking a whole bunch, but I will talk every once in a while. You might hear me like say something about the story I'm writing. Oh my gosh, my finger. The skin is peeling on my finger right now. I had a really busy day today. So I'm just a little tired right now. But we are going to be doing a little writing stream. Just a little bit of writing. Getting a few things pulled up. I have the music for the stream up already. Close that down. Hello Shin, how you doing? Hey Teko, how you doing? Oh, there's death to the one who killed my character. That'll be a nice one to work on a little bit. What? What are you LOLing about? Oh my gosh, I can't. I hate my own writing sometimes. I'm looking through my. Okay, well, I hope you have a good time gaming. I'm trying to sober up. Good luck with that one. But I was looking through my Google Docs just now, and this one Google Doc that I don't even think I have anything written in, I read it as the 8 Courts of Clitoris. But it's the 8 Courts of Coloris. And it caught me so off guard. What the fuck is Comtext? Oh, Comtext, but okay, I know what that is. Ooh, there's the Return of the Dragon story. Where's the Omega First story that I was writing? There's some Mako Mermaids one, Tales of the Deep, Vampires in Daylight, Ghost Slayer's Sister. Where the heck? I'm trying to find my. There it is, Paradise Hall. I'm gonna get an introduction to my writing. Okay, let's see. A trial of wings and pages? Huh? I don't even remember half the things I have written on my Google Docs. That's not mine. I have so many fan fictions that I just have not actually like posted anywhere. That are in my Google Docs just sitting here. I've seen like 3 different Power Ranger fan fictions. In like a couple untamed fan fictions in here, and it's kept catching me off guard just a little bit because I didn't think I had that many. I also have character. Oh my gosh, and my Sunlight rewrite. Oh, I forgot about that. Hummingbird's Bridge, Her Crown and the Animals She Loved. Oh my gosh, I've gone all the way back to 2023. Eternal, Sky's Younger Siblings. OMG, I'm back in February of 2023. Okay. Okay, before I get too far. Let's see. Here. Chrome page. And we're going to put up my cover screen real quick. Land to the slaughter, what you gonna do when there's blood in the water? The price of your greed, son and your daughter, what you gonna do when there's blood in the water? Look me in my eyes, tell me everything's not fine. The people they give me, and the river has run dry. You could go up. Go back to Google Docs. There we go. Okay. So we have the Water God and his butterfly, a Bardyguard musician story, Death's the One Who Killed My Character, Return of the Dragon, and Paradise Hall. I think I'm gonna work on Paradise Hall. Oh, my knees. Oh, okay. Let's do a little bit of For mercy, admit you were toxic. The dollar in your pocket. I am just wanna accept your silence. Beg me for forgiveness. Man to the slaughter, what you gonna do when there's blood in all? Oh my gosh, I turned myself down. I turned myself down on accident. I turned myself down. I was trying to turn down my audio. The audio for like the music. I accidentally turned down my mic. And I just now noticed. Okay, most of these have a like thing in the corner over there, so I'm gonna move my my chat box just a little bit. So, what you gonna buy? Okay, so Paradise Hall is an Omegaverse story. Okay, I love this story more than anything in the world, right? Okay, it is it follows this girl. Her name is Sydney, and she's an Omega in a family that runs the mafia, basically. Okay, and she uses her father's connections to start up homes for Omegas that are all over the city and all over the country. Okay, start up homes to be able to take them in whenever they're sick, whenever they're hungry, like get them off the street type thing. Okay. And it throws her into a lot of bad situations. I love this story so much. Why is there so many spaces in between this? Okay, I'm gonna close the untitled document. Would you like to hear some of the story? Like, honestly, would y'all like to hear some of it? Because I personally want to read this so much. Revolution coming. Okay. Because this, okay, I'm gonna read the first chapter because it kind of like gives you an idea of what the Paradise Hall is. The click of heels on the wooden floor echoed through the rooms of Paradise Hall. The old building was bustling with life, but it wasn't a mess of people cleaning. Hold on, what? See, this is why you read your own stuff, okay? This is why you go back and you read your own stuff, because you can pick out, like, places you messed up grammatically. But it wasn't a mess of people cleaning. Oh, shoot. In the way the revolution coming. Can you hear the drumming? Ooh, there's a revolution coming. Oh my gosh, my hands hurt. Okay, but it wasn't a mess of people cleaning in the way the heels were heading towards. The healed lady was avoiding the people that exited rooms and went into others. The smells that attacked the woman's senses were horrible in some areas and non-existent in others. Paradise Hall was an old building built over 50 years ago, with tall ceilings 3 stories, with amenities on the first floor and bedrooms for all the occupants on the upper 2. The building was passed down through one family and one family only, the Hash family, otherwise known as the family that doesn't get messed with. The occupants of the majestic hall were the Omega charges of the Madam of the Hall, Sydney Hash. Sydney Hash was an outcast in her family, but she still had her family backing for her business in Astroworth City. Sydney was a woman of average height with an affection for her black fake leather heeled boots. Her amber hold on, I'm fake. There, fox leather heeled boots. Her amber eyes were set on one door as she avoided the occupants of Paradise Hall. Her velvet dress swished as she maneuvered around the occupants of the hall. The many Omegas that resided in the safe haven were cleaning the place to make it spotless. It was the least they could do for her, as it was because of her some of them were given a place to stay. Paradise Hall was situated in hills just outside Ashtaworth City, about 20 acres of land that the Sydney family had given to her for her business venture. Sydney's father had given it to her as a birthday present when she turned 23. It was a sorry excuse for an apology for all the shit she had been put through growing up. The hall Sydney walked down was long and wide. The lights in the hall had been turned off in favor of the sunlight streaming in from 4 windows. These windows were opened, allowing fresh air to come in, the sunlight bouncing off the off-white walls, illuminating the hall bright enough for everyone to see, no matter where you stood. Still, Sydney paid no mind of any of this. She was here for one thing and one thing only. Harlow, her best friend since middle school and her closest confidant, had told her something bad had happened over the phone. Her hands clutched at the folder that was in her hands. She had to come from one of her family's businesses, Hash Corporation, where she had been working with her older brother Caden on something important. Her phone buzzed in her pocket of her coat. When she pulled it out, she saw it was her sister Emma. "Hey, Em, can't talk right now. I'll get back to you when I'm done," Sydney said as she neared the bedroom door she was called for. "Oh, cool. I just wanted to ask if you had any lunch plans. It's been a while since we had lunch together." Emma said. Sydney chuckled to herself as she heard Emma scold what Sydney thought was her son Michael for something Sydney could care to catch. "Yeah, sure, I'll call you back in a bit to see where you want to go," Sydney said as she reached the door. She said a quick goodbye to her sister and nephew and hung up. Then she opened the door, and it was worse than she thought. "Sydney," Harlow said as Sydney braced herself against the door frame for a moment. The smell permeating the room was burning her nostrils. After she righted herself, took a deep breath to get used to the disgusting air, and closed the door. She didn't want any of the other Omegas in the house to smell the horrible stench. "What happened?" Sydney asked Harlow. Harlow Winchester was a tall woman with brown hair pulled into a ponytail and gray eyes. She currently wore a pair of jeans and what looked like an AC/DC shirt underneath a black coat. Sydney's own blonde to purple hair pulled into a bun on top of her head. Sydney glanced around the room. It was a standard room for Paradise Hall, 4 beds in one room, one against each wall, set with amenities like a dresser, a desk space, and several places for storage. Now this room was a little different. Half the room was torn up like an all-out brawl happened. The beds that had once had bedding with flowers and leaves were strewn about. Fluff from the pillow was everywhere, sitting in pools of something red. The walls that were painted. What the heck is going on with why are you what's going on? There we go. Okay. Sitting in pools of something red. The walls that were painted white now looked like something straight out of a horror movie. The walls that were painted white now looked like something straight out of a horror movie. The walls were covered about halfway up in red. Then the stench. It was so bad, almost like a rotting corpse that had been sitting out for months. Only it wasn't a corpse, it was a feral Omega that now sat cowered in the corner, jittery and jumpy. The stench of death clung to the Omega, and it was hard not to notice. The Omega's clothes were shredded and barely covered anything, and what it didn't cover was stained red. Her hair was a mess, and she looked crazed. Sydney sighed out, but then recoiled at the stench again. "Okay, but where are her roommates?" Cindy asked. Harlow pointed to one of the body bags on the ground behind them. "That's one of them. I think her name was Sarah Barrister. Camille and Charlie are both in the medical room getting treated for deep wounds, stab wounds, infections, temporary tampered suppressants, sleeping drugs. Sydney cut her off. Tampered suppressants? Sydney asked, curious as what Harlow was talking about. Yes. Talon said they found suppressants laced with some high dose of ketamine. The sleeping agent and high-powered sleeping aids. Harlow explained. Sydney sighed as she turned from her friends to look at the woman that still cowered on the ground. She crossed the room to the woman. She hissed at Sydney. Sydney, not fazed, kneeled down. I'm not going to hurt you, she said as she stayed where she was. It's me, Sydney. Anne, may I come closer? You can sniff my hand if it would make you feel better, Sydney said, calmly. Her voice was as soft as she could make it. Anne looked at her fingers entwining themselves in her brown rat's nest hair as she did. Sydney made the most sincere look she could muster as she waited for the girl to answer her. Anne slowly nodded as her hand came out of her hair and folded into her curled-up lap. Sydney stood, walked over to the girl, mindful of the puddles of blood. She bent down again, this time right beside the girl. She reached her hand out, who sniffed, and made a calmed noise. Then she sniffed Sydney, which did catch her off guard a little bit. When Anne was done, Sydney looked at her and calmly asked, I need you to come with me, Anne, okay? Sydney asked as she held her hand up to the girl. Anne looked at her with wide eyes. Anne was a teenage Omega who was sent to Paradise Hall right after she presented. Her family was that of a wealthy politician who thought an Omega daughter would never live up to the stature. Her father had dropped her off at Paradise Hall without so much as a goodbye. Heck, the girl had only been there about 4 months. Sydney had many other occupants of Paradise Hall and had tried to make her feel welcome and not allow her to fall into depression that could lead to her going feral or lead a teenager to death. It seems that didn't help, and the girl had gone feral on her roommates. Will you allow me to help you? Sydney asked as she stood. She offered her hand to the girl with a genuine smile. The girl took them, but tears streamed down her face. Anne, what's wrong? Sydney asked as she helped the girl up. The girl cried silently. In her state, she was not verbal, or more so, unable to verbalize any sounds into words. She made a choke sound before shutting up her tears. Are you scared you're in trouble? Why is there 2 spaces here? Honestly, there probably shouldn't be any spaces anyway. But it's helping me visualize where the paragraphs are. Are you scared you're in trouble? Sydney asked, and Anne nodded. I'm going to say this. Your actions have consequences. But we need to know what those actions are first to make a decision on punishment. Sydney sighed as she got the girl to walk with her. I'm going to take you to the quiet room, okay? You'll be able to get through this, I promise, Sydney said with a sigh and a smile. You've never been to the quiet room, have you? Sydney asked. Anne shook her head. I'm sure you'll like it. It's quiet. You have windows to see outside, and you'll be able to sleep. Anne looked at Sydney with wide eyes again. I'm going to have Harlow put you to sleep, okay? This is just so we can transport you to the quiet room. It's nothing to be scared about, Sydney said with a smile as she sucked in a gulp of air as her nostrils burned again. Then she helped guide Anne down to the floor as Harlow used a sleeping agent to put the girl to sleep. Once in the quiet room, Sydney aided Anne in a shower and brushing her hair. Anne seemed to be calming down now, the sleep seeming to help her come to her senses. I didn't do it, Anne mumbled. What? Sydney asked, as she started a recorder that Harlow had slipped her while they were bringing Anne to the quiet room. The quiet rooms were rooms built to withstand an alpha rampage and not be in shambles. It wasn't a white padded cell, it was a calm environment. It was a room that was about double the size of a standard small bedroom with a bathroom attached. It had 2 windows that were barred because Omegas tried to exit them before. Then before, the room was a tranquil place. It had a twin bed, a desk, and things to help with stress. And calming noises played throughout the speakers that a person inside could control. At the moment, slow jazz was playing. Sydney and Anne sat in the bathroom just off the main area. Anne sat in a chair brought from her desk so she could sit while Sydney did her hair, getting mats caused by the blood and snarls. I don't remember what happened to Sasha, Anne said. Her voice broke as she pleaded to Sydney. I don't remember anything that happened. I just remember my heat came early. Mine and hers synced up. Anne explained while pleading, Don't put me out on the streets, please. Sydney looked at the girl thoughtfully. I'm done with your hair. It's so pretty and silky, Sydney commented. Anne nodded as she looked in the mirror in front of her. I need you to tell me everything that happened over the past few days that you remember, Sydney said, as she sat opposite of Anne on the bed. Anne crawled up just under a blanket near the head of the bed and sat recorder between them. And Sydney sat near the foot of the bed, and Harlow stood against the desk. Sasha, Charlie, and Camille and I were heading back to the car after we did a bit of shopping Tuesday, Anne started. Sasha and I got in the back seat with all the bags from the store we went to. Camille drove, and Charlie sat navigating us back to Paradise Hall. On the way, we ran into these men on motorcycles that stopped our car from getting any further. We were about 10 minutes drive from the hall. They surrounded the car, but it was all kind of dark. But it all went dark for a moment. It was just really weird. Then it happened again the next day when Sasha and I went out for ice cream because she had passed her exam in one of her classes at the community college in town. That time they tried to do something. It was all fuzzy. But I know I came out semi unscathed. We went back to the hall. Sasha was acting weird, like her heat came on really quickly, but it was way too early. Then maybe 5 hours later, mine started up too. It was only my third since I presented. I don't have a schedule yet. Well, I knew how quickly they synced up was weird, because I haven't had it happen where it synced up to anyone. I always thought it was like 10 months and your cycle might match at least. Anne said as she pulled the blanket closer. Well, my emotions got even more out of the whack than they were. It was like my suppressor stopped working. And after taking everything, it went black, and all I could do was listen. I could hear what was happening. I heard someone with a male voice coming into our room. Through the window we left open every night because most nights were nice enough to sleep with the window open. Then I heard Sarah scream and my body move on its own. I clawed at the person. I think I went hard enough to draw skin and possibly blood. The man said something before he left. It was like a magic spell. Then it was like my body went into attack mode after someone said something to me. I went feral. I could hear the girl snoring. I couldn't hear Sasha. I felt my fingers sink into the and I started attacking her without even seeing her. She was already dead. I assume at that point. After that, things all went dark and mute till Miss Harlow came in, and explained, her voice so sincere. Harlow and Sydney had a soft spot for children of the hall, the Omegas that were put there without choice in the matter, or the Omegas that had come to the hall pregnant and had a child in the safe haven. The children in most cases did nothing wrong to have society shun them, but society favored alphas and betas of the world, not them. If you can't guess already, I'm very interested in paranormal romances, okay? In paranormal stories. I can't say romances, but this is a romance story, so. Sydney sighed. She had dealt with cases of feralness. She had dealt with cases that feralness had set in slowly, but it didn't sound like any of those cases. And did you tamper with the other girl's suppressants? Did you trade them for suppressants laced with anything? Harlow asked, as she walked to stand at the foot of the bed. Anne looked at her with wide eyes and an open mouth, like that was the most preposterous accusation ever. No, obviously not. We were like sisters. They helped me get settled. And I would never do that to anyone, Anne said as she looked at Harlow. Harlow held her stony expression. Even if you felt angry? Harlow asked. I would never do something like that, even if I was angry. Anne said, her voice rising in anger. Hold on, I gotta turn off this. Hide player, got it. There we go. There we go, okay. Make me a maniac, but you don't know. Anne, I need you to calm down, Sydney said. Then she looked to Harlow with an, if you keep talking like that, I will shoot your favorite toy look. She was effective in getting Harlow to back off a bit with the tampering question. Anne was angry. Her breathing became erratic and her emotions more and more intense. Anne, I need you to calm down, Sydney repeated as she sat calmly at the other end of the bed. How can I help you? How can I be calm when I'm being accused of something I didn't do? Anne asked. I get it. You're angry about the accusation. I get it. I do. But I need you to calm down, Sydney said with a sympathetic smile. Can you leave? I want to be alone to calm down. I don't want to be accused of hurting someone again. Anne spat venomously. Sydney sighed and nodded. Of course. She stood up, grabbed her things, stopping the recording in the process. We'll be back in a few hours if you need food or anything. Just press the red button near the door, Sydney explained, as she motioned Harlow to leave first, which Harlow did. Out of the room, a guard locked the door behind them. Thank you, Jeremy, Sydney said with a smile. I know it's such late notice for you to come back. How was your trip to the capital? Sydney asked. It was just fine, Miss Hash, Jeremy said. Jeremy was a tall alpha who worked for Sydney as a guard of the quiet building, helping care for the Omegas that were brought to the different rooms. His skin was dark brown, with a military hat covering his dark hair. His uniform was black khakis and black polo with a black long-sleeve shirt underneath. That's good. I hope Miranda and your twins had fun as well, Sydney commented. And Jeremy laughed a little. They did. They saw my parents for the first time since winter and loved going to the beach. To say the twins had fun would be an understatement, Miss Hash, Jeremy said with a smile. That's good. I'll leave you to take care of Anne, Sydney said as she grabbed Harlow by the wrist and they walked toward the heavy set of doors that led to the huge corridor. She was already emotional. You triggered it to get worse. I thought by now you would have learned that timing is everything, Sydney scolded. Harlow sighed. And Harlow sighed. Yes, I admit timing wasn't perfect, but still. We have a dead Omega and 2 hurt Omegas. Don't get mad at me for wanting to get answers, Harlow said as she allowed Sydney to drag her away from the quiet room hall and down the corridor lined with quiet rooms towards another set of doors. The doors to the outside. I've only been live for 30 minutes and I'm already this tired. Damn. On the outside of the quiet room was a 2-story house that wasn't too far from the main house of Paradise Hall. It was situated in the middle of an orchard that didn't produce any fruit anymore, but produced beautiful flowers. Sydney continued to pull Harlow back towards the main house. Can you let go of my wrist, please? Harlow asked as she moved her hand to wrench it away from Sydney's grip. Sydney immediately let go. There, she said with another sigh. What's wrong, Sydney? Harlow asked, her voice sobbed as she grabbed her friend's arm to stop her. Sydney looked at her for a moment. I'm fine. I just want this to be over quickly and the other residents to not find out till it's over. At least not too much. I don't want them to be scared to stay here, Sydney said as Harlow loosened her grip. Sydney smiled at Harlow before turning towards the back door of Paradise Hall. As she got to the door, Harlow opened it. Madame? A little girl inside asked. Hello, Polly, Sydney said as she bent down to pick up the 6-year-old black-haired girl who wore an old pink dress with hearts on it and old tennis shoes. Sydney smiled as the little girl giggled. "Where's your mother? I didn't know she was coming today," Sydney asked. Sydney said as the little girl pointed. Sydney looked down the hall to a woman who stood at the end of the hall. "Polly, did you find Sydney for me?" the woman in a fedora and a casual jeans and t-shirt outfit said as she walked down the hall. "Hello, Mara," Sydney said with a smile as she poked Polly's cheek, who giggled at her. Sydney smiled as she turned her attention to the dark-skinned Omega in front of her. "Why'd you visit today? Here to see Charlie and Camille?" Sydney asked. "Not today. I wanted to speak to you," Mara said with a serious air to her. "Of course. Why don't we go to my office?" Sydney said. Sydney offered as she looked at Polly for a moment. "Would it be okay if Miss Harlow brings Polly to the playroom?" "I think she would like to see her friends there," Mara asked as Sydney looked at Harlow. Harlow nodded in agreement. "Of course, Miss Abernathy," Harlow said as Sydney put Polly down. Harlow and Polly went down the hall to a bright room that was colorful and filled with children laughing. Sydney and Mara went down the hall into the main hall of the Paradise Hall. The main hall of Paradise Hall was the entrance hall, with circle couches that were the first thing you came to once entering. Just behind the reception desk, or more so, the secretary's desk, were 2 big oak doors with intricate designs of leaves and flowers that all centered around the doorknobs, which were 2 gold chrysanthemums. As the 2 women entered Sydney's office, Sydney went towards a silver table near the wall that held many drinks and several glasses. Would you like a drink? Water, perhaps?" Sydney asked as she fixed herself a glass of water. "Yes, please," Mara said with a smile. Sydney's office wasn't a big room, but it was big enough to have several bookcases filled with books, some pictures and places Sydney had been, along with 2 love seats for reading. As Sydney walked over to her desk, Mara had already made herself a seat on the plush velvet chairs Sydney had for her guests and people who came to ask for something. Sydney sat in her own chair. Mara got right to why she was there. "Can I ask for protection again?" Mara asked. "John, my husband, has gotten physical again. He doesn't want me to come visit our daughters. And he doesn't want Polly to visit her sisters. He doesn't want to acknowledge our daughter's existence," Mara explained, exasperated by the situation. "If not me, then at least Polly. He adores her like he did Charlie and Camille. But I fear she will be brought into this at some point. He switched on a dime when Charlie and Camille presented as Omegas. I fear if Polly presents as anything but Alpha, he will switch on her as well. I don't want her to go through that. I don't want to put Charlie and Camille through that anymore. I don't want to see any more of my children's faces fall when they find out their father doesn't like them. That their father is a fucking Omega hater. Despite that, the fact that his wife, me, is one." Mara explained and complained. It left Sydney with a bit of a headache. "Mara, I will help you with protection, but I'll tell you again, like I told you when you brought Charlie and when you brought Camille, or when your father came to me and your father begged me to protect you from him. You need to divorce him. Even if he mated you, even if he's your fated mate, which I highly doubt, you need to leave him. He's from a less prominent family, his businesses are failing, and he's declining in his aid from others. You need to leave him," Sydney said. "But my father will ask something of you. You know that. I can offer protection for a short time here," Sydney said, as she looked over a room chart of all the bedrooms in the hall. "There are open beds on the 3rd floor, enough for you and Polly. I could put Camille and Charlie in there with you once they get out of the medical room." Sydney said as she sat down at the chart with the open rooms down. What's wrong with him? What happened to Charlie and Camille to put them in the medical room? Mara asked. Confusion and a sense of franticness edged her voice. An incident regarding one of two of their roommates that sadly landed them in the medical room. I was going to call you when I was entering the hall from the back, but you were already here, so I decided to tell you after we discussed what you came here for. I was also under the impression someone had given you a letter detailing what happened. I'm guessing someone gave the letter to your husband instead, Sydney said, then went on to explain what happened to the best of her ability, omitting a few of the more gruesome details, but overall giving the full story. By the end, Mara was floored. Are my girls okay? Ketamine is a very dangerous drug, Mara asked. Sydney nodded. They're okay, just resting now to get the drug out of their system, Sydney responded with a smile. That's good, Mara said with a smile as she smiled and nodded back in a way that said she was trying to reassure herself. But that doesn't seem like Anne, Mara said as she looked at Sydney, who looked at her with intrigue. I'm just saying, Anne is a sweet girl. My girls had nothing but good things to say about her. Sasha even had great things to say about her. I've also met Anne when I went out with the girls on a shopping trip. I don't think Anne ever touched a drug in her life, Mara said, as she and Sydney looked at each other. Sydney narrowed her eyes a little at Nara. Why do you say that? Did you know her before her presentation? Sydney asked. Yes, her mother and father owned a vacation home not far from my husband's vacation home. It was almost a few minutes' walk. My girls grew up with her to some extent. The girl was a ray of sunshine. I don't think that girl could have a bone in her body to kill with, Mara said with a chuckle. Anyways, you say my girls are okay. I trust you. Now which room are Polly and I staying in? Mara asked with a smile. Chapter 4. After showing Mara and Polly to the room on the 3rd floor, Sydney went back to her office to do a little bit of paperwork and open emails. Not her favorite thing to do, but it was a necessary part of her job and as a business owner. Plus, she had four other locations she had to be in constant communication with. A business owner has to shoulder everything about the company when the company is a safe haven sanctioned by the government, but targeted by rival gangs. As she made her way back to her office, Harlow joined her. I heard word that you're not going to be happy when you open your emails, Harlow joked. It was a running joke between the two of them, because Sydney was never happy when she opened her emails. When am I ever? Sydney asked as she neared the stairs. Harlow was not too far behind. Once down the staircase that went from bottom to top floor. Harlow hugged Sydney to stop her from moving. So why don't we go to that restaurant you like when you finally quit doing work for dinner? Then we can go to your penthouse and watch a movie. Harlow suggested with a grin. Harlow, I don't know. Maybe if I stop for dinner early enough, Sydney said as she wiggled out of Harlow's arms. They both entered Sydney's office, and Harlow took her normal spot on one of the couches that sat comfortably next to a bookcase and grabbed a random magazine from the side table to flip through. Sydney, on the other hand, took up her spot behind her desk, on her computer, and groaned. Her emails were full again. She had gone through them a week ago, constantly looked at them throughout the days, just to fill up again. Just for them to fill up again. She opened them one after another. They ranged from offers of alliances to threats of death, to alliance offer being thrown out the being thrown out the window because she didn't answer right that second, to death threats to advertisements. She had a whole shebang. She groaned as she painstakingly went through and read all of them and trashed every single one of them. The only ones she didn't were from her father, from her brother, or from an Omega or Omega family wanting to house their Omega relative. To the Omega one, she had to go through and read carefully because more often than not, it was someone trying to scam them. The ones that weren't, those ones weren't replied to. Then she went to the emails. Oh wait, no. Gosh damn it. The ones that weren't were replied to. Then she went to emails from her brother, who was mainly asking her how to do something, and she would answer. Her brother didn't have a phone at the moment because someone had ran it over, so her brother only had to email to communicate with people. Then, finally, it was emails from her father. Her father didn't like to text when it was something important to do with his personal line of work. He preferred encrypted, lockdown password to get through this type of email. 90% of his emails were "How are you doing?" emails, trying to form connection they'd lost a long time ago. The other 10% were emails like she was reading right then. The email read, subject, Omega. Sydney, another run-in with the Viper group left us with an in-heat, hurt, and drugged up Omega. They are at our headquarters. I know you would crucify me if I let them go out into the wild in the state they are in now. I need to know the nearest safe haven you have set up to take them to. Reply ASAP, Davy and Hash. Sydney immediately jumped into figuring out which safe haven would be best. Once she settled on the Grislow safe haven, she emailed him back. She then went to the recording. She listened to the recording, and she sadly had an oh shit moment. Sadly, it had nothing to do with the recording. I forgot to call Em, she said as she sat back in her seat and glanced at the watch around her wrist. Think she would still be up for a late lunch? I mean, it's only 1 o'clock. Sydney asked Harlow, who sat across the room from her. Sure she would. Sure she would. You two almost never get together. Harlow said with a chuckle. With good reason, too. I always forget, Sydney said as she opened her phone. You always get so into your work, whatever you're working on. I'm sure she'll be fine. She knows you. You're her sister. Harlow said as she glanced over her magazine to Sydney. I hope you're right. Over at Sydney. I hope you're right, Sydney mumbled as she clicked her sister's contact and started up the call. It rang 3 times before the call was picked up. Hey, Em, I'm sorry. Em's husband's voice came from over the phone. Sydney. Something's wrong with Emma. He breathed into the phone. Sydney's blood ran cold for a moment. She took in a gulp of air and asked, What's wrong with her, Simon? She used her calmest voice to mask the slight tremor of fear that slithered down her spine. Michael and Emma are unresponsive, he said, but something about the way he sounded unnerved Sydney a little bit. Simon, you better not be fucking with me, Sydney said through gritted teeth. I promise, it's not a joke, not a prank. His voice went up an octave for a moment. Can you please come over to our home and help me out? Simon asked, his gruff voice another sliver of terror. Oh, thank you for the follow, Sunshine System 13. Thank you for the follow. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. We're just doing some reading and writing. Right now I'm just kind of going over some writing that I've done in the past. Some writing that I've done. It's in Omegaverse Lesbian Story. So Oh, I really need to turn off the sound alerts thing. But this is one of my older writings called Paradise Hall. It is an Omegaverse story, and I'm just kind of reading over it right now to get a feel of how I was writing the story, and then I was going to continue writing it. So if you us have music going on in the background, as you can hear, I have no clue what song this is. It's something on the playlist I'm listening to. But yeah, I'm just reading over this to make sure grammar is correct, get a feel for the story of how it was going, because it has been a while since I actually read this story or actually wrote anything for this story. So yeah, welcome to the stream. I don't normally do this type of stream a lot, but yeah. Okay, we were at this one, if I'm remembering right. No. We already passed that. Simon asked. His gruff voice had another sliver of terror slipped in. Simon asked. His gruff voice had another sliver of terror slipping down her back. As he spoke. Did you call an ambulance? Sydney asked as she started moving for the first time since the call started, her body propelling itself out the door, Harlow in close pursuit of her. I can't, Simon said. Then there was a bang on the phone. Sydney just about dropped her phone as she exited Paradise Hall. The loud bang startled her and caused her to stop. Simon? She asked. Simon? She asked more frantically. Simon Quinn Baxter answered the goddamn phone. Sydney yelled as she and Harlow practically jumped into the car. 2 words made her blood go cold for a second. Save them. Before a new voice came onto the call. I'm betting that this is the pretty Omega, Sydney Ophelia Hash, is it not? Oh wait, no, this is a man's voice. Damn. I'm betting this is the pretty Omega, Sydney Ophelia Hash, is it not? The man's voice had a southern accent. I'm not doing a southern accent. I'm way too tired to figure out what that sounds like. Is my mic even picking me up? Okay. The man's voice had a southern accent and was grating over the phone, though he seemed to try and be smooth. Who are you? Sydney asked. What did you do to my family? She asked a bit more harshly. Oh, no. Good little Omegas don't talk like they own something that Alpha Not can't take away. The sentence almost made Sydney hurl out the window. Answer the question, Sydney said through gritted teeth. No, you're gonna get down here and we're gonna talk about this like adults. Maybe I can persuade you better than you're married. WH of a sister. The man said with a laugh that echoed behind him. Persuade to do what? I'm not finishing the sentence. Y'all can read it. The man laughed again, but the laugh was humorless. Now Sydney was confused. Her sister was an Alpha, not an Omega. The Omega was her husband, and that was public knowledge. So either this dude was pulling her leg, or he was living under a rock, or it was a setup to get her there for some reason. But she was cut off by the man's laughing. You finally got onto that, Took your bitchy sister longer, the man said. Sydney could practically hear the smile in his voice. Just get to your sister's house, and nothing happens that's beautiful and like as you have at Paradise Hall, he said with a smile. He said as he ended the call. Sydney looked at Harlow, then the road. Harlow drove and glanced away from the road to Sydney for just a moment. Just drive, Sydney yelled, and Harlow abided. Fuck, Sydney yelled at her phone after a moment. Fuck, she yelled at her phone again. Then she took a deep breath, looked at the windshield. Whatever is happening, I'm right here for you, Harlow said, as she placed a hand on top of Sydney's angrily shaking hands. Once they got Sydney's sister's house, an ambulance and police had been called by Sydney, but they had been ordered to stay hidden. She exited the car that they had taken and calmly walked up to her sister's front door. Her sister lived in a suburban neighborhood with houses that looked almost cookie cutter, but were different enough to say they had some character. The house was a 2-story painted light blue with beautiful white windows and a wraparound porch. Her sister was one to want to live a calm, peaceful life, free of the problems she grew up in. Seems that was going to be ruined for a little bit. As Sydney and Harlow stepped onto the front porch, 2 fresh corpses of bodyguards her father had stationed there to protect them greeted them. The door opened, and Sydney and Harlow were let in by a 6-foot-tall alpha who seemed to stare at Sydney with hungry eyes. Sydney didn't say or do anything but remain her confident self as they entered the living room. No, it needs to be there. As they entered the living room from the entryway, Sydney was met with the stench of 6 disgusting alphas, including one who had let them in. Sydney tried not to recoil, but the look of disgust crossed her face as she sat down in an armchair. She sat across from a white man with bloodshot hair. I think that's supposed to be bloodshot eyes, who wore jeans, who looked about 5 years older than herself, who was smiling like he just won the jackpot. Then she, who was smiling like he had just won the jackpot. Sydney glanced around the room. She did not see her sister or nephew anywhere. Where are they? Sydney asked through a facade of calmness. In her son's room. Thought we could have a private conversation. Without them, the man said, and his smile seeming to grow a bit. What did you do to them? Sydney asked, her facade cracking the slightest bit, till Harlow placed a hand on her shoulder. Just sleep, nothing more. Unless you want me to do more to them. Would it make you feel better? I mean, I already killed her husband. What's more to kill the wife and kid, too? Then the whole family can reunite in hell. There. No. Fudge, what button is it? There it is. I mean, I already killed her husband. What's more, to kill the wife and kid, too. Then the whole family can reunite in hell. The man's southern accent came out strong as his smile grew. He said his words so calmly that even a hint of joy to them. What do you want? Sydney asked, her voice strained. Nothing much, just chat. Maybe some one-on-one time. But We'll see where the conversation takes us, the man said as he sat back in his chair, in his armchair. What do you want? Sydney repeated. You to shut up, that's what I want. The man said as one of the other men in the room reached up and slapped her across the face before Harlow could even intervene. Hey, civil conversations don't need violence, Harlow said as Sydney righted herself. Harlow, shush, Sydney said as she placed a hand on Harlow's hand. Harlow quieted down, but she wasn't happy. Sydney looked at him. Then that's when Sydney felt a soft buzzing in her pocket. What? Not gonna say anything? He asked, amused. She just shook her head with a knowing smile on her face. He looked at her with knowing eyes. After 10 minutes of silence, he became a little agitated. Why are you silent all of a sudden? The man asked, agitated, after a few minutes of her not actually saying anything. Because the calm always comes before the storm. That was all she said, as the police, mixed with her father's men, busted down the door. The men around Sydney and Harlow gave into a frenzy. A frenzy as shots were fired. When Sydney's father showed up, the men grabbed Sydney by the shoulder and pointed a syringe to her neck. At her neck, Sydney's breath caught in her mouth. Sydney, her father said as everyone stopped for a moment. The man's men were in cuffs or dead. Were in cuffs or dead on the ground. Drop the syringe, her father said. The man laughed. Not gonna happen, Davian, the man said. Sydney's father's gun raised and aimed at the man. You're such a bitch, you know that? So much more than your sister is. I like that about you. Maybe I should just push the syringe into that pretty neck of yours. The man said as the needle was slowly pushed into Sydney's neck. She couldn't move because of how she was held, and now the needle was in her neck, making it painful to look anywhere. I wouldn't do that, Sydney said as she felt the man tap the syringe, pushing the contents to her neck. It made her body go stiff for a moment, and tears formed in her eyes. Don't worry. You go to sleep nice. Nice and sweet here in a moment, he whispered in her ear as he pushed the rest in. Finally, as he let her go, she was able to draw her gun from her coat. She ended up shooting him twice, but around him in almost a perfect outline. 12 times. I don't know why it says twice. The syringe was in her neck, and it was a little painful. She didn't even notice anyone calling her name till Harlow stepped in front of her. Then there was a crash, something breaking, a splitting pain shooting through her shoulder, then black. Sydney woke to Harlow holding her, but not looking at her. The voices around her were muffled, but she could feel something soft placed on her arms. She couldn't speak, but she could move the slightest bit, enough to catch Harlow's attention. Harlow let out the biggest sigh. The only way Sydney could tell was because she blew it in her face unintentionally. Harlow's lips started to move, but the sound was muffled and muddy. Sydney looked at her confused till she caught the end of whatever Harlow had been saying. Apartment. Sydney looked at her even more confused. She opened her mouth, but no words came out, only a pained, unknown noise that her brain didn't recognize. I know you're confused and scared. Don't worry, your mother rushed over and picked us up. Your father says your sister and nephew stayed with your sister and nephew. Don't worry, Harlow said as she moved Sydney to sit more upright in her lap. Sydney finally realized they were in an SUV with dark interior, and her mother's car. Sydney? A feminine voice from the driver's seat called. The blonde-haired woman who sat there glanced back at her with a smile. I know you're scared, honey, but we're heading home now, the woman said. Annalise Hash, Sydney's mother, said. All Sydney could do was nod and lean her head back down on Harlow for comfort and familiarity. This is one of my favorite parts that I wrote. Sydney, it's your mother. I'm coming in with a cup of tea that should help your voice come back, Annalise said as she entered the room. Harlow pulled away from Sydney as Annalise came in, forgoing the hug in favor of offering a hand. Did I interrupt something? Annalise asked as she set a tea on a bedside table. No, ma'am, Harlow said. Ma'am, Annalise said with raised eyebrows. Now either you two are fucking and my daughter didn't tell me, or my daughter's right hand needs to get something off her chest. Annalise said, Sydney's eyes glued themselves to the floor, her face becoming very red. Honey, I've told you, when you do it, make sure I know. Do it, make sure I know. So we can get you on proper things. Children are very real. Annalise cut herself off before she finished. Never mind, either way, which is it? Are you two doing the deed, or do we need to step in the living room and speak privately, Harlow? Annalise said with her hands on her hips. Speak privately, ma'am, Harlow said as she gave Sydney's hand a squeeze before letting go. Sydney, please drink the tea. You should be able to move enough to drink on your own now. I'll be in the living room. Just call us if something happens, okay? Annalise said as Harlow and her left the room. Sydney gulped down the tea, and it was her mother's normal chamomile tea with a twang of something she couldn't quite place. After a few minutes later, she was finally able to speak again. I love the color pink, was all she said before smiling down at her empty cup of tea. After she set her cup down, she picked up her phone and put a video documentary about Omegas that were being found around the city, dead. I hope this doesn't get to Paradise Hall, Sydney said under her breath. She planned in her head that she would try to send some form of aid to the families that actually showed genuine grief, not fabricated. As she started to drift a little bit later, there was a dip in the bed, and her phone moved. Another body laid next to her. The smell of the person was familiar. It's just me, Harlow said as she laid with Sydney. Can you speak now? Harlow asked with a smile as Sydney nodded. Yeah. She smiled as she snuggled into her best friend. Good, Harlow said as she wrapped an arm around Sydney. And Sydney did the same. Sorry for letting that happen, Sydney mumbled as she started to drift to sleep. It wasn't your fault, Sydney, Harlow said as she hugged Sydney closer. The smell of the room became comfortable and calming as Sydney fell asleep again. Your debts may all change, abandon all your wicked ways. Oh, y'all want to see a BL I was writing? Okay. So I was writing a BL. Okay, I like my LGBTQ books. Okay, so I was writing this book. It's called The Water God and His Butterfly. Okay, and it's basically a love story between a god and an immortal mortal. Okay. But like obviously it's not straightforward. Like obviously they don't like immediately like fall in love with each other. They were like together like several centuries ago, and then something happened and the god's memory was kind of tampered with, and then the immortal was forced to live on his own with the cat that the immortal had given him. And then, yeah, it was a whole big thing, okay? But I love it so much, okay? And the god has a daughter. And yeah. You know what? Hold on. Despicable? Wow. Sorry, I was looking at what the song is. Okay. Mm. This. Like, there's this one, which is like. Hold on. Okay. You know what? We're gonna go to my just chatting screen. And we're just gonna put it on to just chatting. You know what? We're gonna find, like, where's that snake game? We're gonna play the snake game for a little bit. Wait, where is it? There it is, there it is. Okay, there we go, okay. See? A little snake game. Something different to do. I've never been good at this game. Oh, dang it. I went up on a Sunday, but up on a bed, but it's Sunday. You know, just before I started streaming, I finished another book. And I'm like, okay, I think I found me a new author that I really like. Their name is Soraya Benson, I think. Soraya Bryant. Yeah, Soraya Bryant. And they're a pretty new author. I like this story that I've read. Some of their stories though. Dang it. Okay. Okay, let's try this again. I should be at church, but I'm paging on a Sunday. To a past, to anybody about it someday. I'm doing a best, but I'm working pretty Thursday. Church, but I'm reaching on a Sun. Be a church, but I don't know why that took me so long to do. Dang it. I pressed the wrong button. Dang it. Okay. No, no, no. Okay, okay. Let's go. We could play pack. Ooh, Block Breaker. Let's play Block Breaker. I've never been good at this game though. Yeah, okay. No, okay, 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 okay. And there we go. No, dang it. Oh, I almost got it. I almost got him. Okay, I didn't know that Google added some new games there. Oh, Solitaire? Yeah, we're gonna play some Solitaire. I'll just do easy because it's been a while since I played Solitaire. Okay, so no, 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 no. Okay. No, 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 no. I can't go on that one. I can't go on that one. Oh, wait, hold on. That 5 can go there. Wait, no, that 5 can't go there. Dang it. Okay. No, it can't go there. Nope. Okay. Nope. Nope. Okay. Nope. There we go. 9. Ace. Queen. Five. There. Dang it. Okay. Okay. 7. Closer. Jack. There. Oh, I love this song. Where? Because we were born for this. We were born for this. Nope. We were, we were, We were born for this. We were born for this. I need the 9. I need a 9. 9. And then I could take this one and move this over. Okay. I believe that we can write a story. 8. The warriors at the pain for different faces, but the same game. Cause we were born for this. We were born for this. Oh wait, no, I can't do that. Do that. Oh wait, no, I can't move it there. So is there a king? Hold on. Red, black, red. Okay, yeah. It'd be this one. I need the. Do I have a black queen in here? No, but I have a red jack. Oh, nope, that's diamond. I need, queen. I thought there was a jack in here. Jack. 10. There's a 10 in here. That's that one. 10, and then I need that 9. 9. Um. Hmm. Nope, can't do that. Diamonds. That's a 5. 3 of diamonds right there. My daddy's gonna come, my daddy's gonna come, my daddy's gonna come, you better run. 9. My daddy's gonna come, my daddy's gonna come, my daddy's gonna come, you better run, my daddy's gonna come. It started with the hay, laughed, cricket, it started in the hay. With the long johns on, poop went keeping and at the bottom to the hay. The numbers on the bed, that's drinking, young numbers in the hay. Okay. You know, this is when I figure out that I don't exactly know what I'm doing when it comes to solitaire. And I'm pretty sure, in all honesty, I've already messed up, so we're just gonna start new. And that was on easy. Nope. 2 blackjacks. Wow. Swanky. Hold on, that one there. There. Put that there. I need a red jack. That's a red 5. I need a red jack. Red jack. Then I can put the 10 over there. And then I know there was a red 5 in here. Oh, right there. Dang it. There's another red 5 in here if I'm remembering. Oh, there's an ace. And there's the red 5. I've skipped them both. Oh, I missed it already. Okay. 2, king, 3, 2, ace. That's 2. Oh, there. 2. Even in my world, it's in my head. Now lies what they will they dread. No one is a river now. Feeling closer. 4. Oh, I wish I could take that back. Hold on, don't I have a black 5 in here? 6, queen, 10, 9, x, 5, 7, 2, jack, jack, 2, king, king. No good. Oh, that was 2. Okay. 8. Oh, you're gotten closer. You know, I like that I'm just now realizing these cards exist. Oh. 10, 9. Two of diamonds needs to go over here. Oh, there's a 3 of diamonds right there. Mm, My daddy's got a gun, my daddy's got a gun, my daddy's got a gun, you better run. Nope. What the hay? After cooking, what the started in the hay. With the sun, John's on, but when I creep in, headed about up to the hay. When lovers when they are not sticking, young lovers in the hay. With the sun, on, but when I speaking, headed about up to the hay. My daddy's got a gun, my daddy's got a gun, my daddy's got a gun, you better run, my daddy's got a gun, my daddy's got a gun. Hold on, is there 3? Nope. Hey, love the cooking and the Saturday night. There we go. There. And then I need a king. Oh, it'll need to be a red king. Yeah. You know what happened to the young lovers? One got shot and the other got tossed in jokes and bunks and got on the street. The history. King. Swinging that whole song. Better run, my nose, boom, boom, crack, a bomb, bomb. Cash on in the heart to set me get break. She really didn't wanna make it messy. She really, really didn't, but the girl won't cry. Your daddy's got a gun, my daddy's got a gun, my daddy's got a gun. Veteran, my daddy's got a gun. It goes boom, boom, crack, a bomb, bomb. She crucified. We can put that there. Ace. Okay, now 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6. Wait, no. Okay, 6, 7. Boom, boom, crack, boom, boom. 4. Crack. Oh wait, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait, no. 4, Oh, that has to be my card. Had to do it. You're not a bad kid. I had to do it. Oh no. No, okay, so this one could go up there. 5. Okay. And I'm stuck now. Because these are all those. But to get to these, I need this card up here. King. Queen. Jack. 10. There. Haha. I did it. It took me 11 minutes, but I did it. I finally won at a game of solitaire. Okay, let's go. We'll go Pac-Man. Hi, Cast. How you doing? Okay, we're playing Pac-Man. Can't sleep. I get that. I can't really sleep any either. I had the urge to create something for a little bit, but then the urge left me. Ah, dang it. Okay. At least I got all of them on that side. Oh, I'm so close. Haha, I did it. Honestly, I have the urge to play a new game. I haven't finished the 10 I have, but I haven't finished the 10 I have. Oh, yeah, I get that. That's an annoying urge to have. Nope. Okay. Okay, Pac-Man, we're done with that. Let's see. I don't feel like exposing my we're gonna go Tetris. Hands between your thighs. Why is it so fucking bright? There we go. Whoa, okay. Why is the reactives on? I don't have anyone in chat and video. I still haven't finished Undertale, Devil May Cry, or Dark Souls, but I want to play an MMO or a story-driven game. Oh, I've never played any of those games, but honestly, I have nothing to say because I have no urge to play any of those games. But I do hope you finish them before you start a new one. But honestly, if you want to start a new one, I'm not gonna stop you. Like, I'm not to stop anyone playing. Okay. Okay, hold on. Hold on. The heck is this? It's the wait, back to 55. I don't remember this being an Arctic Monkeys movie. Arctic Monkeys game. I like your background, lol. Oh, thank you. But what I was saying is, I'm not gonna like. I'm not one to like say anything about playing a game when you have like several other games you need to play to finish. Because I have, let's see, I started playing Lost in Random. Haven't finished it. Haven't finished it yet. I started playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Haven't finished it yet. I started playing trying to think of the games that I've started playing and I haven't finished because I have a ton of them, but I can't remember any of them now. Oh, I started playing Cyberpunk 2077, and I haven't finished it yet. I haven't finished the story. So dude, I get that. I get it, okay. Sorry, my brain just like paused mid-sentence and I was not able to get the words out. Okay. Okay, back to Tetris. Oh, I need to start my music back up. Back to Tetris. Okay, I've never been good at Tetris. There, oh, come on. Here. is someone until I feel you. This is the way that it is. This is the way that it always will be. Someone to love and something to miss. Something to hate and something to be. This is the way that I know. This is the way that it makes me feel. You get it? Can't you get it? Understand? They gotta execute the mother to elevate the man. Gonna propagate the pillar, eliminate the youth. They're gonna blindside everyone until you love them too. Oh, that's not where I wanted it, but okay. And I lost. Right, that's all. Okay, again. Let's go again. Digital wave, digital fire, digital pain, digital violence, digital world, digital guy meets digital girl, violence, digital pale, digital violin, digital hell, art, digital van, sad, digital van. This is the answer to the question, the end of the truth. Answer of the question, there is nothing you can do. This is the way that it ends. This is the way that it always will be. So, what's everyone's thoughts on Batman? Because I go. Okay, so one thing that a lot of people know about me is I go through phases on characters. Like, I'll go from liking Batman to liking Red Robin more, or to liking the current right there. Here. Oh, I should have put that closer. So, what's everyone's thoughts on Batman? Or no, you want to know the more juicy question? What's everyone's thoughts on BL? On Boy Love? On Boy Love MM romance books? Because that is all I have like read for the past like few weeks is BL MM Robux books, romance books. Because they're always so cute. Okay. go. I love you so, I love you so. Please break my heart. Please don't go, please don't go. I love you so, I love you so. Please break my heart. Please don't go, please don't go. I love you so, I love you so. Don't go, please don't go. I love you so, I love you so. Please don't go. I need your soul. I love you so, I love you so, I love you so. Please don't go. I love you. I need your soul. I love you. I need you. Go. I need you whole. Oh, dang it. I mean, that would go there. Oh no, this game, it's devolving. There, 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 there. This game is devolving so fast. And there we go. Okay. Oh, hi, Red Girl. I'm sorry, I did not realize you raided. I did not get a note. Is my raid thing not? Apparently, I don't have my raid thing set up anymore. I am so sorry for not noticing you raided me. I'm so sorry. Thank you for the raid. Hello, raiders. I am Diamond Cosme. I'm a diamond deer. Dear Diamond, whatever you want to call me, you can call me Diamond. I do a lot of things here on my stream. Whatever you want to do, whatever I do, whatever you want to watch. So my brain is not working. You caught me at a bad point in the time. I was so like focused on the game that I did not realize. I am so sorry. It's all good. It's all good. That's good. My brain, like, my raid intro thing, like, my brain just devolved halfway through. Okay, I was not able to get the words out. Oh my gosh, my phone's almost dead. I need to put it on my charger. Someone text me? Hold on, what? Oh, it's just stuff that was from yesterday. Okay. But how was stream? How was stream? Right, girl? How was stream? Okay. Have fun. My brain does not want to work, apparently. You go post your video. Thank you for the lurk. I'm gonna get back to my game. I actually got 37. 3746. That is such a high number for me. Oh, but it doesn't beat my high score of 45. Oh, my brain is just not wanting to work right now. Oh my gosh. Okay, we'll do one more game and then figure out something else to do. No, this week I have only been reading like BLs and oh, that's not where I wanted that to go. Oh no, this game's already going terribly. There, okay, we're back on track. Back on track. there. I've tried to start talking about several things just for my brain to just zoom in on the game. I think that's a sign of me being really tired. I genuinely am so tired right now. But I don't want to stop playing the game. But I need to go to sleep. I have things I need to get done in the morning. Oh no. Put that there. Put that there. And I wonder what it actually. If I get off stream now, I'm literally just gonna go lay down and read. Like, I'm not gonna go to bed. I'm just gonna lay down and read this new book that I reserved from my library. And I'm not gonna go to bed. I'm not gonna go to sleep. It's not gonna happen. I know myself right now because it's been the same way for the past like few weeks. I turn a YouTube video on and then I just start reading. I don't do anything else whenever I go lay down. I just start reading. And I mean, I guess it's better than like doom scrolling on TikTok or something, but I just oh, I didn't want to put that there. God damn it. Come on, there we go. Thank you. There. I mean, I guess reading is a lot better than like doom scrolling on TikTok or Instagram or something. Oh, I did it. Okay. But still, I'm supposed to be going to sleep, but instead I'm sitting here reading two boys kissing. Okay, I'm reading about two boys kissing instead of like going to sleep. I'm supposed to. Oh, damn it. Okay. And then I'm just sitting here going, oh. And then while I'm reading, I'm just reading while laying down, and then all of a sudden I'll just fall asleep. Okay. I've fallen asleep reading more in the past like 3 weeks than I have ever in my life. Okay. Okay, hold up, pause. I also finished 3 different series in the past 3 weeks. I finished 2 series and a standalone book. 2 series, a standalone book. And I finished another book today, and I started another book today, and I found a new author today. So, okay, put that there, here, there. Ooh, I love this song. I wish it wasn't like in the middle of the night where I'd be singing it, like belting it out. Into the end, it's all at moment. Self-assured, and now I know the dirty word about you. contagious. Here we are now. It's contagious. Yeah, it's stupid and contagious. Here we are now. Hesitate us. There's not a little battle. I'm a Dio. I'm a Dio. Yeah. See, this is the type of music that I grew up on right here. I was raised on this music here. No, I can't get past 15. Gosh. Oh. Here we are now. Entertain us. No, I know the song y'all need to hear. Oh, hold on. Hold on, pause this. Open up another thing. Go to YouTube. But I've got great balls of fire. Here's a song y'all need to listen. Great balls of. Hold on, is it this one? No. Is it that one? I don't remember the song being this short. Hold on. Okay, not this one. No, it's not this one. Oh, what's the name of it? Um, balls are always bouncing from the left, from the right. What is the name of it? Big Balls, that's what it is. No. Pause. I want big balls. No, but that's a good song too, but I want big balls. I want this one. I love this song so much. It is an AC/DC song that I grew up with. But I grew up with AC/DC songs, so. We'll go this one. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 high society, my theft and problems of variety. I always admire ballrooms with exits out of town. The social pages say I've got the biggest balls of all. I've got big balls. I've got big balls. I've got big balls. There's dancing big balls. And he's got big balls, and she's got big balls. But we've got the biggest balls of them all. Balls are always bouncing when the brain's nose bowl, and everybody comes and comes again. And no one is on the guest list, and no one can take your fire. Everybody says I've got great balls of fire. I've got big balls. I've got big balls. They're such big balls. Empty big balls. He's got big balls. And she's got big balls. But we've got the biggest balls of them all. And balls are help for charity. Some for fancy dress. But for pleasure, they're the ones that I like best. Balls are always bouncing from the left and to the right. And don't if the every balls are beheld tonight. I've got big balls. We've got big balls. We've got big balls. We've got big balls. Tay's got big balls. She's got big balls. But we've got the biggest balls of them all. We've got big balls. Wonderful fun. Seafood cocktail. Crabs. Wig fish. Balls of them all. Ball knackers. Ball knackers. Ball knackers. Buckle snackers. Buckle snackers. Buckle snackers. It's ball snackers. Buckle snackers. Buckle snackers. I grew up on that song, okay? Let's see. Oh, I know the other song. Devil went down to Georgia. I know I spelled that wrong. Devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bag, he was way behind. He was looking to make a deal. He came across this one man on a fiddle playing it hot. Devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bag, so way behind. He was willing to make a deal. He came across this young man, saw on a fiddle playing hot. And on hickory stump said, "Boy, let me tell you what. I guess you didn't know it, but I'm a fiddle player too. And if you dare to take a dare, I'll make a bet with you. You play a pretty good fiddle, boy, but give the devil his due. I bet fiddle of gold against your soul to think I'm better than you." The boy said, "My name's Johnny, and it might be a sin, but I'll take your bet you're gonna regret, 'cause I'm the best there's ever been." Johnny, here, fasten up your bow and play your fiddle hard. Cause we also have goods in Georgia, and the devil deals his cards. And if you win, they get this shiny fiddle made of gold. But if you lose, the devil gets your soul. Devil opened up his case and said, I'll start the show. Fire ran from his fingertips as he just rosined up his bow. And he played a crow across the strings and it made an evil hiss. And a band of demons joined in and it sounded something like this. I would love to learn how to play this song on the violin. I tried before when I was actually a practicing violinist, but I did not get very far. I did not do very well. So I tried to play this song so much, but it just was not happening. The devil finished it. You're a pretty good old son. Sit down on that rear right there. Let me show you how it's done. Fire around, run, boys, run! Devil's in the house to the rising sun. Kicking in the bread pan, making that dough. Getting it all dough, no. Devil down his head because he knew that he'd been beat. If we heard that building fell on the ground at Johnny's feet. And he said, no coming back. We never want to try again. And told you once, you son of a bitch, I'm the best it's ever been. Okay, right, girl. Thank you. Thank you for coming. You need to go to sleep now. Now, go to sleep, okay? Go get your sleep. Also, I'm glad you got your video up. And we completely forgot about doing the reaction video today. I'm just now remembering that we were supposed to do the reaction video tonight, weren't we? Well... Devil's in the house of the rising sun. Okay, child, hello, maybe another day. I am not a child! I'm not a child! Stop calling me a child, please! I'm not a child. Stop calling me a child, please! Do 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 do. Okay, we're going Rings of Fire by Johnny Cash. Okay, good night, right, girl? Okay, this is the last one we're gonna do. I'm sleepy. I'm gonna fall asleep here soon. So this will be the last thing we do. And he makes a fiery ring, bound by wild desire. I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. And down, 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 and the flames got higher. And it burns, burns, burns. The ring of fire. The ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames got higher, and it burns, burns, burns. The ring of fire. The ring of fire. Taste the of a love so sweet. When hearts like ours meet, I fell for you like a child. Oh, but fire went wild. I fell into a burning ring of fire. Went down, down, down. The flames went higher. It burns, burns, burns. The ring of fire. The ring of fire. It fell into a burning ring of fire. It went down, 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 but the flame went higher, and it burns, burns, burns. The ring of fire. The ring of fire. It burns, burns, burns. The ring of fire. The ring of fire. I think I've hit the clip button so many times. Oh my gosh, there's oh, I don't want to know how many times I've hit the clip button on accident. Okay, we're gonna go to my just chatting screen. Oh, I'm so tired. Okay. Let's go. Let's see, is there anyone I can raid? I don't think there's anyone on that I can raid. I don't think there's anyone live today, right now, that I can raid. Next snack. No. Hydro. No. No. Yeah, there's no one I can raid, so I guess we're not raiding tonight. Oh my gosh, I'm tired. My brain just does not want to like catch up with anything right now. Thank you everyone for coming. Hope you all had a good night. I'm gonna go crash out. Actually, I probably can't say that. I'm gonna go read actually. I can't say that. I'd be lying. I'd be lying to you guys saying I'm gonna go crash out. No, I'm just gonna go read until I fall asleep. Which I have a new book, and I finally found some books where they're okay. I'm not saying I don't love my monogamous couple MM books, but I've never read a book where it's like multiple dudes together. And I finally found some books like that in the libraries that I have on my like Libby and Hoopla app. In some of the libraries that I have, I finally found some books that have multiple people in a romance together. Okay, and the first one I read it today. Okay, it's the book I finished today. I finished it and didn't even realize that it was a romance between like 4 dudes. Okay, it was a romance between 4 dudes. It was 3 shifters and a mage, and I just started reading it, and then all of a sudden I like pulled up my friend's text, and I was like, I think this is a 4-way romance. And she's like, bitch, a 4-way? And I'm like, yeah. And then I kept going back and forth, like, okay, it's 4-way. It's 4. Okay, it's a 4-way romance. Okay, it's a 4-way poly romance. Okay, that's cool. But then at some points it'd be like, no, it's a monogamous romance. But then the dude would go, oh, but you can go and fuck with the other two dudes that are in this house. And I'm just like, okay, so it's back to a 4-way. It's not a 2. It's not a couple. It's a poly. And then it'd go down, and then at some point it went to, oh, so it's a 3. So this up to the other dude's just kind of like fourth wheeling in here. Like, what the heck? And then it went back up to 4. And then it went back to 3. And then it went back to 2. And then I'm like, what the heck? This story needs to get its fucking pairing right, or I'm gonna have an aneurysm. I'm gonna burst a blood vessel in my brain if this story does not figure out its fucking pairings. And then I got to the end, and so the mage was marked and mated by two of the shifters, and not the third one. And in the last chapter, he gets buzzed out of his mind. And and then he turns to the one that hasn't mated with him. Even though they've done it, they haven't mated, and like the shifter hasn't like put his mark on him yet. And he turns to him and he goes, "Why you no bite me?" That's the exact quote from the book, is "Why you no bite me?" And it throws everyone off. And then like he climbs into the dude's lap and he's like, "Bite me." And then like he reaches around and he pinches the other shifter's nipple. He's just, and the other shifter's like, "Dude, get your mate under control." And the other shifter, the shifter that he first mated with, is like, "I don't want to get smothered with a pillow in my sleep." And I find it so fucking hilarious. Okay, and then like obviously they go on their mate and yada 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 yada. It's literally the funniest scene in the book. Okay, it's at the end, but it's the funniest scene in the fucking book. Okay, it is 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh my god. Okay, everyone have a good night, good day, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you. I'm going to bed. Good night, everybody. I hope you have good dreams. I will see you again in the portal tomorrow. See you again in the dimension tomorrow. Bye bye.